The chow tent was packed shoulder to shoulder, heat trapped beneath canvas, air thick with diesel fumes, sweat, and burned coffee. Metal trays clattered against folding tables as tired hands reached for food that tasted the same every single day. That's where I was stationed for 6 months, Forward Operating Base Sentinel, middle of nowhere Afghanistan, wearing an apron instead of body armor. My name is Chen, and I joined the army to serve my country, to make a difference, to be a soldier. Instead, they put me in the kitchen. Cook. That was my assignment. While my battle buddies were out on patrol, manning checkpoints, doing real soldier work, I was flipping eggs and stirring giant pots of whatever mystery meat they shipped in from God knows where. The other soldiers would walk past me like I was invisible. Just the cook. Just the girl who served their meals. They didn't know I qualified expert on my rifle. They didn't know I scored higher on the PT test than half the infantry platoon. All they saw was an apron and a ladle. Every morning started the same. 04:30 wake up. Get the ovens fired up. Prep breakfast for 300 hungry soldiers. Scrambled eggs, always scrambled, because nobody trusted our skills enough to order them any other way. Toast that came out either burnt or soggy. Coffee strong enough to strip paint. That was my contribution to the war effort. I tried to stay positive. Told myself every job matters. Told myself that feeding the troops was important work. But when you are 22 years old and you joined to be a warrior, serving mashed potatoes feels like a punishment you didn't earn. The infantry guys were the worst. They'd make jokes. Ask if I could handle the weight of a combat load when I could barely lift a bag of flour. Never mind that those flour bags weighed 50 pounds, and I moved dozens of them every day. Never mind that I pulled longer hours than most of them, starting before dawn and finishing after dark. There was this one sergeant, Rodriguez, who seemed to take particular pleasure in reminding me of my place. He'd walk through the chow line and say things just loud enough for others to hear. Make sure the cook doesn't burn my toast. Wouldn't want her getting confused between the toaster and her weapon. His buddies would laugh. I'd smile and serve his food and swallow my pride. 6 months. That's how long I dealt with it. 6 months of waking up before the sun, sweating over industrial stoves, scrubbing pots bigger than bathtubs, being treated like I wasn't a real soldier. 6 months of prove yourself, earn their respect, show them you are more than just your assignment. Then came February 14th. Valentine's Day. Ironic, looking back on it now. I was in the kitchen tent, preparing lunch. It was supposed to be a quiet day. We'd been told intel showed decreased enemy activity in the area. Some of the guys had even started talking about maybe getting rotated home early. That's when the mortars started falling. The first explosion hit somewhere near the vehicle depot. I felt it before I heard it, that compression wave that hits your chest like a fist. Then the sirens. Then chaos. Everyone had a battle position, a place you were supposed to go when the base came under attack. Mine was the kitchen tent. Defend in place, they called it. Because apparently even during an attack, someone might want a sandwich. I dropped the ladle I was holding and ran for my rifle. It was locked in a Connex container behind the tent, because God forbid the cook keep her weapon close. My hands were shaking as I unlocked it, pulled out my M4, checked the magazine, chambered around. More explosions. Closer now. I could hear small arms fire. That meant they weren't just mortaring us. They were coming in. The radio crackled. Enemy breach at the north perimeter. Multiple hostiles inside the wire. All personnel to defensive positions. Inside the wire. They were inside the base. I took position at the entrance to the chow tent. I could see soldiers running, taking cover, returning fire. Smoke everywhere. The sound of combat is nothing like the movies. It's louder, more confusing, everything happening at once. Then I saw them. 3 insurgents, maybe 100 meters out, moving between containers, heading straight for the chow tent. Maybe they thought it was a command post. Maybe they were just looking for targets. Didn't matter. My training kicked in. I didn't think. I just acted. Sight picture, breathe, squeeze. The first round went downrange. Then another. And another. I don't know how long the firefight lasted. Could have been 5 minutes. Could have been 50. Time does weird things when people are shooting at you. When it was over, when the all clear finally sounded, I was still standing at that entrance, rifle at the ready, apron still on underneath my body armor because I hadn't had time to take it off. That's how Rodriguez found me. He came running with his squad, late to the fight, and stopped dead when he saw me. Saw the 3 enemy combatants down in front of my position. Saw me, the cook, the girl who couldn't handle the weight of a combat load, standing there with my weapon. He didn't say anything. Just looked at me different. They all did after that. The base commander put me in for a commendation. Army Commendation Medal with Valor device. For, as the citation read, decisive action in defense of Forward Operating Base Sentinel, resulting in the elimination of enemy combatants who had breached the perimeter and posed an immediate threat to US personnel. They offered to reassign me after that. Asked if I wanted a different job, something more in line with combat operations. I thought about it. Almost said yes. But then I realized something. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. Not to Rodriguez. Not to the infantry guys. Not even to myself. I was a soldier. Whether I wore an apron or body armor, whether I carried a ladle or a rifle, that's what I was. What I am. I served out the rest of my deployment in that kitchen. But things were different after February 14th. The jokes stopped. When soldiers came through the chow line, they looked me in the eye. Said thank you. Meant it. Rodriguez actually apologized. Sat down with me one day and said he'd been wrong, that he'd judged me on my assignment instead of my character, and he was sorry. I respected him for that. I'm out of the army now. Work as a chef in Seattle. Own my own restaurant actually. Still wake up early, still work long hours, still serve food to people. But sometimes, when someone asks me what I did in the military, and I say I was a cook, I can see them making assumptions. Thinking it was easy. Thinking it wasn't real service. That's okay. I know the truth. I know that when the time came, when my base was under attack and my brothers and sisters in arms were in danger, I picked up my rifle and I did my job. Both jobs. Because I'm a soldier. And soldiers do whatever needs doing. That's my story. That's the day the cook became the hero.